The restaurant was elegant, all soft lighting and quiet conversation, as Evan Lancaster sat across from his blind date, trying to appear interested. At 37, the CEO of Lancaster Investment Group had finally given into his sister's relentless matchmaking. Victoria seemed perfect on paper, beautiful, successful, from a good family, but something felt off. So as I was saying, Victoria continued, barely touching her food, my father's company is merging with Anderson Corp. It's a $1 billion deal. Of course, they begged me to take a VP position, but I told them I need at least a C-suite title, or I'm not interested. Evan nodded politely, but his mind was wandering. Victoria had talked about herself for the past 40 minutes without asking him a single question. She'd also been rude to the valet, dismissive to the host, and condescending to their server. Their waitress approached the table, a young woman with blonde hair pulled back in a neat bun. She wore the restaurant's standard uniform and had been nothing but professional, despite Victoria's increasingly demanding behavior. "How is everything?" the waitress asked with a practiced smile. "Finally," Victoria said. "I've been waiting to get your attention. This wine is completely wrong. I ordered the 2015, not the 2016, and the temperature is off. Take it back." The waitress's smile didn't falter, though Evan saw something flash in her eyes. "I apologize. I'll have that corrected immediately." As she reached for Victoria's glass, she dropped a small folded napkin near Evan's hand. Then she was gone, heading back to the kitchen with the wine. Victoria was on her phone now, texting someone. Evan glanced down at the napkin, then casually unfolded it under the table. In neat handwriting, it read, "She's not who you think. Check the bathroom in 5 minutes. Please. It's important." Evan's heart started racing. What did that mean? He looked toward the kitchen where the waitress had disappeared, then at Victoria, who was still absorbed in her phone. 5 minutes later, Evan excused himself. "I need to make a call. Business emergency." Victoria barely looked up. "Make it quick. I have plans after this." Evan walked toward the restrooms, his mind spinning. What was he doing? Following a cryptic note from a stranger? But something in the waitress's eyes had seemed urgent, genuine. Near the restrooms, the waitress was waiting, nervously wringing her hands. Up close, Evan could see she was younger than he'd thought, maybe 28, with kind blue eyes that held a mix of fear and determination. "I'm sorry," she said immediately. "This is so inappropriate, and I could lose my job. But I had to warn you. That woman you're with? Her name is Victoria Ashford, right?" Evan nodded, suddenly wary. "How did you know that?" "Because she destroyed my family," the waitress said, her voice shaking. "My name is Sophie. Sophie Chen. 2 years ago, younger brother Michael was engaged to Victoria. He was head over heels in love with her. They were planning their wedding." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "Then Michael's company had financial trouble. Nothing catastrophic, just a rough quarter." Victoria broke off the engagement immediately. But she didn't just leave him. She spread rumors that he was embezzling, that the company troubles were his fault. She made sure everyone in their social circle knew she'd narrowly escaped marrying a financial criminal. "That's terrible," Evan said. "But she destroyed him," Sophie interrupted. "Michael lost his job because of the rumors. His reputation was ruined. He couldn't find work anywhere. 6 months after she left him, his brother killed himself." Evan felt like he'd been punched. "I'm so sorry. Victoria had nothing to do with his death legally," Sophie continued. "But morally? She killed him as surely as if she'd pulled the trigger. And when I saw her walk in tonight with you, looking at you like you're her next target, I couldn't stay quiet. I couldn't let her do to someone else what she did to Michael." Sophie pulled out her phone, showing Evan text messages, screenshots of social media posts, documentation of everything Victoria had done to her brother. "I know this is crazy," Sophie said. "I know. I'm just a waitress, and you don't know me. But please, be careful with her. Victoria only cares about status and money. The moment you're no longer useful, she'll destroy you too." Evan looked at the evidence, at this young woman who was risking her job to warn a stranger, and made a decision. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for telling me, Victoria," Evan said. "Can I ask you something?" She barely looked up, What do you do for fun? What are you passionate about? Victoria finally put down her phone, smiling. I'm passionate about success. About building my portfolio. About being the best. But what makes you happy? Evan pressed. Victoria looked confused by the question. Success makes me happy. Winning makes me happy. Being associated with the right people. Having the right things. What about love? Connection? Building something meaningful with someone? Victoria laughed, a cold sound. Those are nice in theory, but in reality? Business is business, even in relationships. You partner with people who elevate your status. When they stop being useful, you move on. That's just smart strategy. Evan felt sick. Sophie had been right. You know what? Evan said, standing up. I just remembered something important I need to do. Thank you for your time tonight. Victoria looked shocked. What? We haven't even had dessert. I don't think this is going to work out, Evan said. Good luck with everything. He left money on the table for the bill and headed toward the exit. As he passed the wait station, he saw Sophie watching anxiously. He stopped. Thank you, he said. You were right about everything. And I'm so sorry about your brother. Sophie's eyes filled with tears. I just couldn't let her hurt someone else. You saved me from making a huge mistake, Evan said. I owe you. Sophie shook her head. You don't owe me anything. Just don't be like her. Don't treat people as disposable. That's all Michael would have wanted. Evan pulled out a business card. This might be forward, but would you have coffee with me sometime? Not as a date, he added quickly. I'd just like to hear more about your brother, about the man whose sister was brave enough to risk her job to warn a stranger. Sophie took the card hesitantly. Why would you want that? Because in the past hour, you've shown more courage and character than anyone I've met in years, Evan said. And because I think your brother would be proud of what you did tonight. 2 weeks later, Evan and Sophie sat in a quiet cafe. Sophie had told him stories about Michael, about the kind man he'd been before Victoria destroyed him. And Evan found himself drawn to Sophie's authenticity, her courage, her refusal to become bitter despite her loss. I almost didn't leave that note, Sophie admitted. I thought about minding my own business. But then I imagined Victoria doing to you what she did to Michael, and I couldn't stay silent. I'm glad you didn't, Evan said. That note changed my life. It woke me up to what really matters. What do you mean? I've been so focused on success, on building my company, that I'd stopped thinking about what kind of person I want to be. Seeing Victoria, seeing how empty a life focused only on status and money becomes. It scared me. 1 year after Sophie had dropped that note on Evan's table, they returned to the same restaurant. But this time, Sophie wasn't the waitress. She sat across from Evan as his girlfriend, wearing a dress he'd bought her, celebrating her graduation from social work school. Do you remember the note you left me? Evan asked, pulling out a folded napkin from his pocket. He'd kept it all this time. Sophie laughed. How could I forget? I was terrified. I thought you'd think I was crazy. You saved me, Evan said. Not just from Victoria, but from becoming someone like her. You reminded me that people matter more than profit, that character matters more than status. He reached across the table and took her hand. Sophie, your brother's death was a tragedy. But his sister's courage turned that tragedy into something meaningful. You didn't let his death be meaningless. You saved someone else. You saved me. Michael would have liked you, Sophie said, tears in her eyes. He would have been happy that something good came from what happened to him. I wish I could have known him, Evan said. But I'm grateful every day that I know you, that you were brave enough to leave that note. As they left the restaurant that night, Sophie saw their former manager and waved. The woman came over, smiling. Sophie, it's so good to see you. I heard you graduated. Congratulations. Thank you, Sophie said. And thank you for not firing me that night. The manager laughed. Fire you? For what? For leaving that note warning Evan about his date. Oh honey, the manager said, I saw what you did. And I saw what that woman did to your family. I would never fire someone for protecting others. That's not breaking rules. That's having a spine. As they walked to Evan's car, he stopped and pulled Sophie close. Will you move in with me? Sophie looked surprised. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything, Evan said. A year ago, I was having dinner with a woman who only cared about my net worth. Tonight, I'm with the woman who saved me from that life. The woman who taught me what really matters. Please, say yes. Sophie kissed him. Yes. 1,000 times yes.